Well, hey, it's Trash Talk, and this show's going to be out of this world.
It's a special Tuesday.
Out of this world. We're going to talk about some UFOs, because there's been reports in the news again of more sightings, and we're not sure whether it's people that are trying to get in or people that are trying to get out. But
it's been really weird. It's been
on the extraterrestrial highway.
There's been a lot of activity. Well, part of it too is because the government has to release certain documents now. They can't be classified. There's obviously stuff that we will never ever know, but there's a lot of reports that were classified that now are being released. So we have that in the news. But then there's a lot of other stuff that's been happening that the military's reporting on. So,
and it's interesting. Our show is broadcast from northern Texas, and between Texas and New Mexico and Arizona, and that seems to be the epicenter of a lot of these reports, and it has been over the years. One of those reports I think that's being released is, you realize after almost 50 years. They finally confirmed that Buzz Aldrin did not see an alien on the moon. Honestly, I'm not.
I know.
There was a report that when he was on the moon, he sighted there may have been a UFO on the moon. And that's been sitting back there in the news for years and years. And they finally, with some of these other reports, confirmed. He said, "Nope, I never saw anything." But
what
is, did they see him?
Well, what a report too. No, didn't see anything. Oh, great, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, they just had an issue where the UFOs harassed 3 warships for several days. And this was on March 25th. The USS Kidd was one of the warships, and it was out in California, and they were doing their training exercises. And they said that 3 unmanned drones, and not drones like that we fly around ourselves, but that's what they're classifying them as, were harassing and buzzing the warships. And then they did not appear on radar. They did not appear on any of the ship's radars. And they were there for a total of 30 minutes for multiple days. They would come in and fly around and then disappear. Now, the ships were armed so that if there was something they felt they were in danger, they could shoot them down. But the problem was they weren't on radar. So they would go in and they would visually see them, but then they disappear and come back again. And they were just talking about that too. So.
And this was off the coast of California?
Yeah, I was in California. Off the coast of California. They were described as unmanned aerial vehicles or drones.
Whoa.
They said 6 drones and 3 different vessels experienced the same thing.
Far out, man.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. When people talk about UFOs, everybody assumes aliens off the bat. And I'm like, look, a UFO is just an unidentified flying object. That could be military, man-made, cosmic, whatever. It could be satellite. We just don't know what it is. So I think we have to differentiate between UFOs and aliens,
Except who's flying the UFOs?
Well, that's the thing. We don't know. I mean, if you got a military vehicle out there, a military craft that we know nothing about, it's a UFO. I mean, it's a UFO. I got UFOs in my house every time Luke is playing. I got things flying through my house. So,
in other words, it's a UFO until you identify it.
Right. All I see is something go flying across my face. I'm like, what was that? Oh, yeah. Good. It's an action figure that's now in the garbage disposal.
Yeah, it was either an action figure or a UFO.
Right. But I do think it's interesting, like you said, in that little area, the extraterrestrial highway, that's very, very it's traffic. And I know there's a lot of military bases out here, so people assume it's got to be military, but I'm not so sure, man. Maybe this is just a mecca. Maybe there's something that's drawing these creatures here.
Well, and could it also be that those are the areas of our country that are really more open? You've got desert areas and open plains, and all. Either that, or the whoever the aliens are in the UFOs, they go up to like North Dakota or something. They say, should we land here? Yeah, it looks a little bit cold, and they don't go to Canada. It's too cold in Canada. And also, they kind of zero in on us. And they don't go to the Sahara Desert or anything because the people over there talk funny.
Well, maybe they've already been there and they're over it. Like, it's like you go to the same restaurant all the time. You got to switch it up,
Well, we laugh about this. There's a lot of people that do some serious studying on UFOs, and it goes back to, we talked about our area of the country. Roswell, New Mexico is probably the mecca of research for. They got a museum there, and it dates back to mid 40s. Was when they were supposedly alien, vehicles with funny little people inside that landed in Roswell. I mean, if you remember the movie Independence Day.
Well, yeah, they talk about, Area 51 is not a joke. Let's not forget these idiots tried to storm Area 51 like
Right.
a couple of years ago. Nobody's storming Area 51. Let's just go on record. Don't try that.
Right.
But there's something there. We know the military bases there doing all kinds of experiments and saying the Roswell incident is on record. The documents are released that there was something, but they're not telling us what it was. I'm firmly believe in UFOs. I have to believe in unidentified flying objects. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, you're really into some high sci-fi stuff.
And I believe in aliens too. I do. I don't think that we're the only ones out there, but I don't necessarily think it's what we imagine. You know what I mean? Like, what if there's other people on another planet that are like us saying the same thing? We know, like, what if they're saying, we know there's something out there, we just can't get to it yet? Like, who's to say they have that technology,
Well, and also, if you really want to smoke up some stuff and think about it, there's probably parallel universes. And are there parallel universes that have planets that revolve around their suns? And there is a planet that's just a certain 93 million miles away from that sun where there's life forms, and
you gotta, to think that we're this big in the universe, okay? We only can explore, we've only been to the moon. I'm not trying to downplay that, but give me a break, It's 2021. Can we get to another planet, please? We haven't seen anything. We don't know what's out there. We're just discovering new black holes, and what do we know? There could be
how are we going to catch an alien spaceship or something when we still can't even catch up to Bigfoot?
Exactly.
He's still eluding. And the Loch Ness monster, they're here. We haven't captured them or seen them, but yeah, we're still looking up into the sky. And of course, you mentioned drones. Now there are drones out there that are very sophisticated that people capture on camera and say, it's a UFO. They're coming to get us. No, it's the 12-year-old kid on the next block that's checking out your neighborhood.
Exactly. There's a lot. I do believe a lot of the UFO sightings can be explained. I really do. But I don't think I've ever experienced anything in my life where I've thought something was in the sky and I didn't know what it was. I don't, more on the paranormal side I have, but not in the extraterrestrial. I've never, not that I remember.
You remember that the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind? You know, and it's interesting to go back and watch movies like that, because we're talking about decades ago. Movies like that came out, but they kind of they tried to personalize what that experience was of that door coming down on the flying saucer and everything.
Oh yeah.
You saw the spooky little characters coming down there, and the people were focused on them and just drawn into and took off. There was also Cocoon, the movie
Oh yeah.
with the old people
That was that that was a
that
weird
took
movie.
them off with them. They all decided, hey, let's leave and go with them. So, you know, Hollywood has had its times with looking at that counterculture, if you will.
Well, and here's the other thing too, like, you know, they all, when they get to, there's all been all kinds of alien movies and stuff, but when they get to those specific ones that are, I don't want to say more realistic, but more, they're trying to be believed, they all have very similar themes. You know, that theme came from somewhere, you know. So I'm always curious about that. I just read an article just now, actually, that was released 4 days ago on Fox 2. The former director of national intelligence says the upcoming Pentagon UFO report, reveals technology that we currently don't have. That they have discovered technology that we don't have. It's got Navy reports in there of sightings, video footage of UFO sightings over the last couple of years from things that we don't have. So
that kind of go along with that talk about artificial intelligence.
I mean, is it one of the other countries? This is the most interesting thing too. Not really most interesting, but so the 2.3 the 2.3 trillion coronavirus relief package, whatever. Part of that in the package says that we have to release this information to the public. I don't know why the aliens have anything to do with the coronavirus, but because of that, we're about to find out all these documents and all this information, and it's supposed to be released in the next week. More footage and everything. And the guy says, this is stuff we don't have. This is not us.
And you know that Hollywood's going to pick up on that. And so probably by next year, you're going to have another couple of movies that are all going to be about those findings.
Well, you got to ask yourself, is it aliens, something that's not of this country or world, I mean, or is it another country that's doing something that we don't know about? I don't know. I mean,
you know, we often talk about, you know, the Star Wars festivals, you know, and all that. They have a UFO festival every year in Roswell, New Mexico.
I would love to go to that.
And people, I mean, it's got to be really cool to go there and just sit and listen to people who are absolutely convinced not only that there are aliens and that there are UFOs and all, but many of them have had experiences of being picked up and taken off to some far off place and then come back and they dump them back on US soil.
That's what I don't understand. Why do aliens always pick up the local nut job?
Well, yeah, you know, and then they always want to know, what did you have to smoke or drink or something?
Right.
You know,
and I'm not trying to get too technical, but why do aliens probe certain areas only? Like, why? You always hear about how they're probing, and I'm like, I don't want to get picked up by an alien.
yeah.
Leave me alone. I go to the doctor for that.
By the way, here's a good factoid for you.
Oh no.
In the state of Nevada, there is a town called Rachel, Nevada.
Okay.
And they have a pub or a bar there called the Little A. Lee Inn.
That's awesome.
And it's got a little alien creature out in the front as their marquee. And you know the population of Rachel, Nevada?
No,
54.
74?
54. So you gotta believe that somebody in Rachel, Nevada said, let's see, what are we gonna do to get more people to come to Rachel, Nevada? We'll open up a bar and we'll call it the Little A-Lee Inn.
What, I mean, what else are you gonna do in Rachel, Nevada, but drink and talk about green people? I mean,
That's sit and drink and talk about why are we here and when are they gonna come and pick us up?
I gotta look that up online. I gotta check that out. I mean, that's one of those things when I get older, you know, and Luke is older and he can drive me around. I want to go do all those random road trips. Like I want to go to Rachel, Nevada and have a drink at that bar just to say I did it, you know?
Yeah. And also, well, it's off the subject, but Pie, New Mexico.
Pie?
A town called Pie, New Mexico. And it's also a very small town. There are two businesses and they're both pie shops street from each other. One's open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and the other is open Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and they're both closed on Sunday.
You got to go on March 14th. You got to go on March 14th. You got to go on Pie Day.
Pie Day.
2.14.
Pie Day to Pie, New Mexico.
Wow.
I'll tell you another place people have to go. To the Patriot Sandwich Company.
Alien free.
Alien free. They got a big parking lot, so you can land your ship right there and go in and get some sandwiches and take off and go back to wherever you came from. And just tell the folks over there that you heard about it on Trash Talk, and they'll even take your free drinks out to the spaceship for you and help you. So
I tell you what, if we get invaded while we're eating at Patriot Sandwich Company by aliens, they listen to this show. I know they did.
I'm sure they do. And you want to know something? If that happens, Brandon and I, sandwiches are on us.
Absolutely. Look, I'm saying it right now. If the aliens invade Denton, Texas, we got you covered.
We got you covered. And they obviously, once they try a Patriot Sandwich Company sandwich, they're going to go back home wherever they came from. They're going to tell their friends, hey, listen, when you're flying over the United States, drop into Denton, Texas, and go to the Patriot Sandwich Company.
Well, I don't know if they're real or not, but I got a feeling we're about to find out a lot more. So
that's right. And if David Jordan over at the Patriot Sandwich Company calls us and say, hey, what? Stop the promo. Stop the promo. Well, we're going to go out in our ship and take off from the trash dump, and I'll get you back here. Okay? Keep an eye out because we're going to be buzzing over your town later today.